talk about politics and stuff. And today we are talking about just kind of a plethora of topics. I typically will focus on one topic and talk about that either through one of my long streams that I do on Fridays or one of my videos I post on YouTube, which is super edited and I have a script typically. In this case, though, there's been, I feel like, so much news that I kind of want to talk about, both like politically and just like some culture stuff. So I'm just going to go through and show you guys with the process of what makes me make a video and just talk about stuff that I just kind of want to get off my mind that I feel like doesn't warrant a long video. So I'm going to try to do these things every Monday because I feel like I spend most of the time just going through news and I never make a video. So hopefully this kind of helps me uh, hone in my thoughts. But as I share, you guys can see this, right? Okay, cool. So yeah, this is my Twitter feed. If you ever want to follow me, I have pretty awful takes. um, the thing I wanted to talk about politically has been a few items. What my Twitter, usually retweet stuff that I like, but I've been seeing people talk about a few things, and I've been wanting to retweet it so I can go back and talk about it. This is the big one. So, is the president okay with the bill adding to the deficit? And the press secretary says,
according to the Council of Economic Advisors, this bill will save $1.6 trillion.
So she's saying that the reconciliation bill that is going to, by the way, cut Medicaid, it's going to save money. Trump is not known for saving money. Let's put it out there. His last presidency, even before COVID, he was spending in deficit. So let's just fact check that. Reconciliation bill 2025. I guess we can start off. And this is how I would typically make a video. I want to talk about some topic. I've been hearing some fake news of sorts. Let me look into it. Let me just read a bunch of articles and see what they tell me. So the House Rules Committee revised version of the GOP reconciliation bill released on Monday made several tweaks to the provisions seeking to cut federal benefits and civil service protections. The changes include the latest to print of legislation, mostly to adjust the dates of provisions would take effect and define specific groups of employees. Notably, they increased the federal employees' retirement contribution rate to 4.4 for all federal employees. Okay, that's awesome. Eliminating first, switching from high 3 to high 5. Republicans' oversight committee previously has made it across the board increase the first contribution rate. Now removed from legislation would have been accounted for 30 billion to fit. Wait. Huh. Okay. Now I'm kind of fuzzled. Oh, I just completely missed that. So it's being okay. That doesn't sound great. The new revisions of the bill come after the House Budget Committee vote to advance the GOP reconciliation bill, clearing a key hurdle for the proposed cuts. The bill narrowly passed Sunday night in a vote of 17-16 as several Republican lawmakers are holding out and demanding even deeper cuts of the legislation. The bill advancement comes just days after committee's first vote, failed last week. There is still time, however, for a few other revisions to take place. Okay. So this is talking about what's being cut, which I don't like. I want to see, is it going to add to the deficit? Because this is would extend and expand major components of the 2017 tax cuts, which will increase primary deficit, which will estimate will increase primary deficits by 4,561 billion, 4.6 trillion. So it is going to add. It's going to add, right? I mean, that's clear cut. Despite increasing debt by 7.2% in 10 years and 12% in 30, the bill would increase GDP by 5% in 10 years. Okay, which is great, but I don't feel like that's worth it. Mainly because I feel like for one, the whole budget deficit spending makes sense when we're like in a sort of crisis or we really need to. This doesn't make sense to me why we're doing this, and it just sounds like, oh, they really want to do the tax cuts for the higher wage brackets and then try to cut stuff that they can, like the whole Medicaid stuff, which I just don't think it's worth it. I think the more you cut stuff like Medicaid, you see an increase in I think death, crime, and just overall poverty. We can take a look at that too, but I just wanted to see, will increase deficit. Okay. the House is continuing to mark up its reconciliation legislation, which we estimate would add 3.3 trillion to the debt, including interest of 5.2 trillion if its temporary provisions are made in part. Because now borrowing and front-loaded offsets are back-loaded, we estimate the House bill would boost the FY27 deficit. The deficit in the first year policies would be fully in effect by nearly 600 billion, or 1.8% of gross domestic product. That's the net effect of roughly 770 billion of new borrowing and 180 billion of offsets. So it sounds like we're not going to lessen. Okay. House run. Okay, tax goods are front loaded. Would take place in the first half. Okay, 70% of non-interest borrowing would occur. So we're not saving. Increase front loaded due to arbitrary expirations, limited costs, 100% bonus declaration, and new MAGA counter expected. Okay, well, it can ramp up on a budget window. Here's the House bill. That made additional. Okay, so the deficit will increase. This seems like a clear-cut answer. Let's see what this bipartisan policy center. What's in the Ways and Means of bill? Over temperature, the net cost version would vary. The bill would also increase statutory debt limit by 4 trillion, which would likely push the X date into 2027. You can see the tax offsets does not warrant it's not enough. The tax offsets are weren't enough to hinder any sort of the tax cuts themselves. So, okay. Okay, that's fun. Shh, puppies, come on. Okay. This is depressing. So I think there's going to be a point of, I don't know. I'm trying to see. Okay, it looks like these are going to be the things that are going to be. See, but like this stuff, like I just don't understand. No income required. Okay. I just don't think there's going to be a world where we see a deficit decrease. I mean, every article so far we've seen seems like it just seems like we're going to cut really important things in our society, like Medicaid and possibly Social Security. I was seeing Social Security being referenced, and then we are going to add to the deficit. Now, why is it bad to add to the deficit? U.S. of A. Adding to the U.S. national deficit, the difference between government spending and revenue can be determined due to its impact of future economic growth, interest rates, and overall fiscal stability. If we go to Reddit, this guy asked, like, we run on a budget deficit, and before I even read his question, I just want to put out there that, like, my bare minimum of knowledge of the whole budget deficit is ideally you don't want to have a zero deficit, right? Like, you want to have some sort of I think the magic number, there's a magic number out there of like how much debt you have, and you don't want to have zero debt. I mean, it doesn't mean that our economy is thriving. When I hear people bring up, and this is sort of random, but when I hear people being like, I can't believe we don't make all this steel, Canada imports all this steel, that's a bad thing. And it's like, well, that's not inherently a bad thing. We're a big country, we're always building, we have to import steel because we have so much going on. Now, should we have manufacturing of that here? Yeah, that's true, that's great, but there's a realistic aspect of this. Like, that's not necessarily a bad sign to just be importing. You want to have a little bit of healthy importing and exporting, but it's not a net negative if you are import. Like, it's not inherent negative. And so when I hear deficit bad, it's like, well, is a deficit necessarily bad? It sounds like it has implications that it could be bad. But yeah, so from my understanding, America runs on a budget deficit as it accumulated this enormous debt that stood for I don't know how long. So I'm wondering if America just keep running one more debt and doesn't seem to suffer consequences. Secondly, who holds this debt? I always wonder what IIRC. If I recall, okay. Clinton actually ran a surplus. Cretin did as well as last one too, so more than in year Canada. It's bad for a few reasons. First of all, you're paying interest on that debt, which wasn't actually so bad 10 years from the interest rates were low, but it's now getting much harder to do. Interest payments exceed GST revenue now in Canada. Second, it is essentially a gamble that your economy will grow at better than the rate, including annual servicing, so you eventually get out of debt without raising taxes. Third is you're spending a lot of period to be at that level, and it's poor policy to bloat the state. Okay, so I always saw that Clinton was a surplus thing, but then I always hear people like Clinton did. My understanding before I even click on this, Clinton was the last president to spend or to bring the budget to surplus, but I think he gets the credit. But it was Republicans' House and Congress that gave him the bill to actually get this done, so it wasn't even his working that did it. But I digress. Um, Oh, right wing weirdo that tries really hard to twist facts. The guy's claiming Social Security shouldn't count as income. Obviously, it's bullshit. It's income. We used to pay it off hard. Okay, I don't even want to read this because I don't want to go that deep dive on that itself. Just to say, what I retweeted was this guy brought up Biden, Clinton, Obama because they didn't have a surplus, but they left a smaller deficit than they came in with, which is just factually true. And we found in Trump's past, did Trump spend in budget? Did Trump spending increase deficit? And we could see, yes, national debt increased during Donald Trump's presidency, probably due to increased spending, tax cuts. So of course there was COVID, but you can see that there was a lot of spending during non-COVID, and that's mainly because of his Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. Again, I don't want to dive too deep into this. Maybe that's a video on itself, but that's what we're dealing with, is these people who claim to be fiscally responsible economically, and they love being the economic party. The Republican Party has not shown that. I mean, I'm very grossly exaggerating because I'm sure with Bush Sr. or with Nixon, maybe they did spend pretty decently, but I feel like going back that far is like even going to the 2000s seems like a whole different era, right? Because Bush, even though he was spending more, especially with the war, you could easily argue the war. Like, he walked into a presidency a year into his presidency with the war. Now, of course, any sort of, I think he did get some sort of like, tax cuts as well. I don't know if his first or second presidency, but he's not someone I would look at either and say like with high praise. But I just think now the Republican Party currently is just, they don't care. It's cool when I do it. It's bad when you do it, right? And whatever they're doing right now is just, it seems to be benefiting the wealthy, and it doesn't seem to have any like real plan to help middle America, which is where I fall. And I want to help lower income individuals, and I am trying to be not as lefty, but I do look at it like, oh, we should just really start taxing the rich people more. But it seems like we're going the opposite. It seemed like we had a pretty good economy when we did tax the rich more. And I know that, again, this is super simple. There's a lot more going on, a lot of moving pieces. Is there a possibility that we're disincentivizing people not to come here if we're taxing billionaires at 99%? Yeah, probably. So we have to think about this like smart and logistically. And I just think with what we're currently doing, and we're giving millionaires, billionaires way too much ease, and they can cover up these costs that could potentially put us in less spending. But to go after people like Medicaid, it's like, it's not. I know it's a lot of money in the chart, but that's a worthy cost. I think it's worth how much we spend. But overall, bullshit. She's lying. Now, not my political take, but I do gotta say, I saw this. I've been going back. So, Last of Us premiered. It's second to last episode for season 2, right? I'm very conflicted, and that's what I want to talk about. This is not a political topic, but it is something I've been wanting to talk about because I feel like people are way too crazy with the Last of Us series. It's my favorite game of all time. Last of Us 1 was my favorite game of all time. Last of Us 2 came out and made me so happy. It's my favorite game of all time now, part 2. And then the show came out. Season 1 is easily one of those. I would put that up there with like Walking Dead season 1, and True Detective season 1. Like, it's a perfect show in my eyes. No notes. And season 2 came out, and even though I had a strong start, there's a lot of middle right now that I'm just like, And I think there's a lot of world building that I like more than Ellie. I think Ellie's character is kind of annoying, and I think she has a lot of reason to be, and her actress is doing her phenomenally. But at the same time, I look at her and think like, I feel like we haven't really aged out of the alley, even though it's been, I think it's like 8, isn't it like 8, 7 years? Wasn't she like 12 in the first season? Now she's supposed to be like 17, 18, maybe even older. It just, I don't like it. And her portrayal is as best as she can do, because I think it's a lot on the creator, the director, and the writers. Whereas the actress herself is just trying her best. And I do like the direction we're going. I do want to see more of the Seattle stuff and the other characters, the Isaacs and the Hannah Moran, I think her name is. I want to see the Wolves faction. I want to see the Seraphites stuff. But I'm scared because the creator of the show said we need a season 4. No, you don't. You don't need a season 4. I'm sorry. So there's fair critiques here. Like, I think, the alley could have been done better. I think the season without Joel is a little lost, and I think the wolf stuff is more interesting than the alley story. And I guess that's, if I was creating the show, I would kind of do it that way, because Ellie should be in the background killing people while they're having this crazy soap opera. And I think we're probably only going to see that season 3, because you couldn't just jump into that. Just like the game where you had this sort of like pretty healthy juxtaposition. I think they're trying to mimic that here, but it's hard. And I think season 3 is truly going to just be the Abby show, which is easier to pill to swallow than just doing that in season 2. And yeah, so I think I see the vision, and I'm not completely taken away from it. I am still excited, but I think there's a lot of bumps here. But when I see stuff like this, that The Last of Us written, this article saying The Last of Us is showcasing all its worst habits, I just don't agree. And I actually agree a lot with discussing film. This Twitter account is pretty interesting. They mainly just do news like of stuff like that. But going on a soapbox to critique Last of Us franchise, difficult though necessary task, which I'm glad they open with, because yeah, I feel like people just bitch about Last of Us for no reason. Oh, there's a gay character. Like, that's the critiques I heard. Oh, Joel died, I don't care. And it's like, well, you got to play it first. You got to see the story through, then you can shit on it. Because if Joel dies and that's where you stopped, what are we doing here? There was so much left of the story that you didn't even see because your favorite character died. Like, that's just not how media should be consumed. It's a really piss poor way of consuming it. At the very least, don't have a strong opinion. Don't be like, I hate it so much because Abby sucked. Well, you didn't get to see Abby much. So, like, who are you? Yeah, it has a toxic fandom, and Neil Druckmann is sometimes annoying. I think he's actually a very talented writer, but there's some stuff he said about, like, how the cure was so, like, he was like, oh, the cure was gonna happen no matter what, like, there was no in the air of what the cure is. Yes, there was. Yes, there. I know you're the creator of the show. Who the fuck am I to tell you anything? But just realistically speaking, the setting we were in and the context we were in, it's hard for people. It's a really hard sell to tell us that we knew definitively that the cure was going to, like, happen if we let Ellie die. Like, come on. So nuance has been lost in translation from game screen. The emotional potency of Last of Us 2 are often undercut or defanged in the HBO adaptation, mainly because series creator showrunner Greg Mason, Neil Druckmann demonstrated a palpable fear of being misunderstood in response to the fan base perceived the two games. I get it. They probably are. I think they are very weary. But I also think that they told the story the pretty same way. I mean, there's going to be some nuance here in this article, I'm sure. But they told the story in a very similar way, where I feel like if they were so fearful of the critique, they would have just, axed Abby or let Pedro Pascal's character last way longer. Like, I just don't think they're that fearful. Knowing Neil Druckmann, given he's been called a Zionist and shitted on by a lot of his opinions politically and culturally, he doesn't seem to be a guy to back down. A lot of things you can call him, I'm sure, and I don't know much about even his comments that he made about Gaza, but I know people have crapped on him for that, and I just don't think he's backing down. I think you had to have some sort of change. And I know the big change people are mad about is the porch scene. The overarching mystery revealed of Abby's killing diver's direct goal as Danny Firefly's surgeon's daughter. She delivers expert monologue as she kills Joel. I'm okay with that. I didn't mind that at all. I even didn't mind that we saw the extra scene where she's sitting at the grave, right, with the team. I like that it painted that picture. It's gonna show, like, oh, these people are gonna be important soon. It's, yeah, like, that's not a new, like, that's in the game we kind of just assumed, but I don't think that was the point. For the show, we're gonna have to really follow these people and see their mission, and I think that was a okay scene to add. I think it gave a little bit. It wasn't like that you needed this, but I didn't mind it. And I thought it was like, okay, cool. That like as a show viewer, I'm sure a show viewer would look back and appreciate that. Because I'm a little biased with how I approach the game. Um, Finding out that Dina's pregnant. Again, I just don't. I don't really care about that. I thought it was. I honestly thought it was pretty similar. Changes to be just the price is a microism of HBO shows worse as instincts. Um, the penultimate, it's a strange mixture of passable to baffling adaptational choices that firmly keep the HBO series from being sophisticated and dynamic as the games. I do respect that he has given a lot of praise to the games, so I think the games are done pretty well. Like the way when I beat the game about 5 times. When I look back at it, I always look about how perfect the pacing is, in my opinion. Again, if you don't agree, that's fine. I'm not saying you're a sexist, but I think people do have dumb approaches to the critique, and that's where I wanted to kind of stand up and bitch about. But for most people, I get it. Like the way the show's doing it, I can already see where this guy's going. Is like this porch scene, and at first I was a little bothered, but then I kind of respected it. I liked how the show took that approach. Now instead of this crucial flashback being sprinkled throughout the season, they just squeeze it in one elongated episode. I liked it. I like showing the numerous. I like seeing that aspect. You didn't see that in the game, right? And I saw more of a father-daughter relationship, and we got to see a little bit more of Pedro Pascal. Not where it was like annoying. Not like I think some people, even like Jon Stewart, tweeted that like if Pedro Pascal dies, what's the point of watching the show? I think that it was a good way to still bring some of those show viewers back. It wasn't straying away to the point where he was like, I'm scared of the fans. We got to bring Joel back. I think it was like, oh, this is just feels natural. Like it felt to me at no point did I feel like they just threw him in. I couldn't feel that. They probably did throw him in, but I think it was done so well that I never felt like they just threw someone in there. And I felt like I wanted to see them. Even seeing him as a child, his childhood story, I was like, this is why we do the show. I want to see the intricacies of this person's life as detailed as possible, to the point where if it's not entertaining, then maybe not, but it was all entertaining. It gave me a vision of who Joel is and what the relationship was that we didn't see in the game. I guess that's fair, the lack of creative vision, but I feel like you can do that with a lot of the season, both 1 and 2. I'm okay with that. I was a little disappointed with the scene itself. It was beautiful and it was really impressive. I was telling, my fiance when we were watching it, like, oh, this is like really well done. Like I just can't believe they did the set. But as a show, I'm like, oh, it's still beautiful. Like it never really took me away. I know the fresh material thing, but it feels fresh. I feel like the scenes are so interspliced with new stuff that it doesn't feel like I'm just watching a shot for shot. Like when we watched the Jacksons, attack, the whole Abby scene felt so different. Like I was like, maybe they're not gonna kill him here. Maybe it's gonna be a cliffhanger for episode 2, and they did, and it just kept throwing me off. I'm like, oh shoot, like what's the attack gonna do? And maybe I'm just a pleb, but I definitely felt like it never seemed like a shot for shot for me. The original scenes, I agree, they are. When Nick Offerman and Frank Murray Bartlett's character, that was perfect. Gail and her husband Eugene, yep, that was perfect. Like that Gail scene. Oh, that I'm so glad that this guy, whoever wrote this, I do want to give nothing but credits. I was worried of them going in and being like, this just sucks, but this person has, I think, fair critiques. I don't agree with it. It's fair. That scene of Eugene passing was rough. Like, I think it was done. I want to give it a lot of praise because I think it really stuck with me. But to see the birds fly away, like, it's getting me. I think that's beautiful. That's the reason why we have art is scenes like that. Everyone killed it. Tremendous actor, Joe Pantoliano. He was Richie in Sopranos, and he was the guy from Matrix. I forgot his name, the state guy. But Allie's response pissed me off because it was like, I know you're mad, I know you're angry, but you came off so annoying. And then finally, the big The big scene is the porch scene. Instance of one of the first times that Ellie sees Joel for the man he is rather than the man she idolizes. The Last of Us is many things. The futility of revenge and cyclical nature of violence. But most importantly, it's about human nature. In the wake of Joel's death, Ellie has to come to terms with the type of person her father figure was. Thank you. Thank you. Like, that's the point of the story, I feel like, is that it's not just revenge equals bad. It was revenge has some positive and some negative, obviously more negative, because in the case you lost your father, and you have to know that his revenge for you is going to be brought with vengeance. And revenge is not just done in an isolated environment. There's all these pieces to it, but also it's not just clear cut good bad. Like, I think she saw her father as his perfect figure, and you need that revenge to realize that he's not. He's just as human. He's just as full of error than as she is, and I don't know. I loved it, but Eugene plotline introduced The Last of Us to put collective interest, creative instincts, rebels undercut. One of the most brilliant decisions was primarily showing fans the porch scene. See, I don't think it was that premature. I liked how it was in the game. I think it fit here in the story. I think it was enough to throw me off as a fan, and then I think it fit for many TV show viewers. Because I think you see that. He says end of the game. Now I'm like, I played it so many times. Yeah, after hunting down in Alaska. See, I feel like that's too long, especially in the case of like there's going to be a season 3. They haven't even told half of what Abby's story is, and the season's almost done. I think this was a healthy. You have to account for the audience and their comfort, and I think this was a normal amount of that. It's just the porch scene. I like the porch scene. But the price is all stressing, removes emotional beats. I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was done. I think showing the chopping acts of Pedro Pascal and seeing Ellie's character's reaction, I felt real. It felt notable. It felt healthy. Like, it was always a weird thing that, like, she just kind of was okay. Like, when he got murdered, she was so busy. The game felt like when Joel got murdered, she couldn't even be angry at him because it'd be weird. He's murdered. He's gone. Like, what's the point? But there, it felt like when you see that scene, we already went through this adventure. It makes sense to us why we forgave him, but it's still leaving this sort of like unrealistic. She seemed a little bit healthy and happier after that night, even though everything just went down in all the weeks prior of her, and months probably, of accepting that Joel was a monster. I think both are unique and both are valid. I can't say this is bad. I have deep empathy for the amount of vitriol targeted shows creator against a fatal artistic impulse. I think this is fair. I don't think this guy did anything wrong. I don't think he said anything wrong. I just don't agree with it. I do feel like not having this scene in the game really sucked, but I also think it's a pacing thing. Yeah, I'm not. I loved it in the game. I don't think it would have. I think it's fair that it's not in the show. I'm curious how it would have translated, because I just don't think. I think the scene we got was fine. I loved it. Like, seeing the astronaut scene was, I think, that would have been killer. That would have, like, oh, why did we not? I want to see that, you know? And I think it tells a story. Yeah, I think I can end it there. Also, Chimaev, after choking out DDP, then witnessing a second Duplessis walk into the octagon with a cartoon hammer, saying, "Good thing I'm not that guy." That's so good. Also, Last of Us Part 2, show the game. Come on. Funny. Oh, also, I guess one way to round out the news for the day, I made a video about how Trump, how Biden, sorry, yeah, Trump was being threatened, was the reaction by the Republicans. People were saying stuff like 86-47, which was a reference to, hey, we should kill Trump. I don't agree that it was, and even if it was, which again I don't agree with, there's responses like from those of the Republican Party who made fun of Pelosi, Trump, who has consistently called people like Kamala communists, which is a dangerous rhetoric. You're calling these people communists, very vile things, very scary things that we were fearful of, even, you could say 40, 50 years, like the Cold War, right? And so, like, to sit there and be like, she's a Democrat, you're threatening them. That's a threat. And let alone all the criminal convictions he's got, and him trying to overthrow our government, and at the very least not respect the criminal and judges that we have, like the rules that we have. He has not respected that. He's a dangerous man. He sued countless people. He's made crazy. He didn't just call someone a fat bitch. He's threatened people. You know, he made fun of that judge for being Mexican, saying he should be recused from his case because he's Mexican. Like, what the fuck? That's just racist bullshit. Cutting U.S. aid, he's killing people, like, indirectly, or sorry, directly, he's killing people. The wars and stuff that he's done. I know he's killed an American girl when he did that MOAB run, the Moab bomb. There's critiques of this man, like, he is no peaceful person. His rhetoric, his policy, and his actions are all a perfect stew of, like, this guy is violent, he accepts violence, he brings in violence, he puts it on violence, he puts on other people's violence, and then when something like, hey, 8647 occurs, people are like, I can't believe you said, like, we should be realistic here and say, like, Trump belongs in a jail, Trump belongs in a place away from America. I don't want to kill him, not because I think it's morally grandstanding. I just don't think this guy deserves the peaceful death and release of death. That's too good for these terrible people. They need to go to jail. The Trump administration are terrible people, and Trump himself is destruction. That's not illegal to say, and I think, if anything, if you find that illegal, like, you've seen the fear of people being deported for being outspoken. Obviously, they were green card holders, or they're not permanent residents. I think in some cases they actually were, but there's this thought of, like, well, as an American, I can say whatever I want unless I'm not threatening someone, and I'm not threatening him. But I think we should be as critical, because they are dangerous. Like, if Hitler was running in the U.S., we should be like, oh, that's a bad guy. He shouldn't run. We can't be like, well, listen to both sides. Like, I think that's a stupid mindset. He's a dangerous guy. That to say, all of that to say, when Biden announced that he had cancer, countless people were just clowning on the guy. This is a very dangerous thing for this. He could possibly die. Most likely, he's going to die. And I think there was people making fair questions of, like, oh, did the Democrats know this and they were hiding it? Did Joe know this and he was hiding it? Like, would he, if he were to have ran and won, would we just have this old guy dying in office? Terrible thing. But I say this because it's like, oh, these are, like, fair questions, but none of these are fair. Because when I see, like, a post like this from this guy dancing the thought of Joe Biden having cancer, you're a piece of shit. And this might be just some random Joe on Twitter. Fair. But you have people like Donald Trump Jr. making posts like this. Not like this. I mean, this guy's literally dancing with a swastika. What the fuck does that mean? But you have people questioning the authenticity of his cancer. Like, it's not just random guys. It's Donald Trump Jr. These people are fucking vile. They're terrible people. If even an ounce of that, like, oh, we should question Trump's ear getting shot. Like, I'm trying to think of people similar in this political divide we have. The left, not fans of Trump, were questioning Trump's ear, and they were just yelled at. And I never saw, like, any high profile Dems making fun of him. I mean, if they did, I'm very surprised. And it never really got anywhere. Here, these people are just making fun of him, and it's like, okay, who cares? Donald Trump Jr. Because I think they're so vile that it's hard to cover every vile thing they say. But Jesus Christ, like, why should I care about these people? Like, why? They've given me no reason to see this and go, like, they really care about, like when Ashley Babbitt was shot, they were like, she needs to, we gotta get revenge. She was a terrorist. She was a criminal. She broke the law. But Black Lives Matter deserves to get shot down. Like, what? I don't, like, you guys are inconsistent. Like, I would denounce Black Lives Matter if you guys will denounce the January 6ers, and they didn't, because Trump pardoned them. So we're not even playing a similar game. Did Biden pardon BLMers? Like, no. And, like, we're not on the same plane. They are evil. If you're a Republican, you support this, and you see the inconsistencies, and you still say, I don't care, you're evil. You're just an evil person. You don't care. You don't have principles, and it's fine. I accepted that. Don't fucking make me pretend like we're on the same plane, though. So yeah, fuck them. I think this is a good spot to end it. So thank you guys so much for letting me just spiel about 3 topics I've been wanting to talk about as of this morning. So love you. Y'all be safe, and peace.